Dr. McCormick, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll try to keep this brief because I know we want to have time for everybody. But it was interesting talking about the munitions quandary. I know that we had a big backlog in that. We haven't figured out how to do it, even though we are one of the most innovative countries in the world ever in history. But I thought it was also surprising when you gave the answer that that's something that we're still working on. According to what I've been observing in Ukraine, 155 rounds really don't get used anymore. Why? Because triangulation counterfires are basically devastating. So what we're using is mobile applications instead of that sort of munitions anymore. So why do we even care about that? This is exactly the problem. We keep on looking backwards instead of looking forward. We talk about Futures Command. I really enjoyed your presentation too. And we talked about 30% of the Air Force assets, which are obsolete. We don't even know why we're funding and building them. Well, we do know why. It's a political reason that we have politicians protecting their own rather than being innovative and look at what's good for the country and for the future of strategy and tactics. But once again, let's put aside the 155 rounds, talk about what kind of mobile applications, what kind of drones, HIMARS, whatever it is, how we're going to use wire-guided munitions now going back. Now, that is a backward that's looking forward. But I want to talk about that. The fact that we even legitimize talking about 155 rounds, it's almost an obsolete platform now. When we go out and we look at different platforms into the future, we can't even lament the things we haven't done right in the past. I mean, our best asset is the fact that China keeps on trying to copy the things that don't work anymore. And I don't want to give away too much in a hearing, but that's what I'm talking about. What is the future, and how do we streamline what we're going to do in as far as countermeasures too? Look at what Ukraine just did in Russia. Phenomenal. It reminded me of Israel and some of the innovative things they've used. Futuristic looking. How are we encouraging the Army to look forward rather than back in the way we prepare for the next war? And I know you talked about it, General, in Futures Command, but I mean, besides you, how are we developing our young officers to not think about past wars, but think into the future in innovation, tactics, strategy, and even manning and weaponizing?
I think our young leaders are doing a really good job of thinking forward. And again, some of the things that you were just talking about, Congressman, where we struggle is stopping doing some of the, hey, somebody still wants us to buy stuff that we necessarily don't need. I agree with you that we need to invest more in drones. That's our plan to do that. Same thing with EW, same thing with long-range fires. I think all those things could be done much cheaper too, and that's why we're working with other companies. If you want magazine depth, the other way of doing that is to actually bring the cost down, and I think that there's innovative companies that can do that, and it's the same with what we need on training. I would argue that we're still probably going to have indirect fire is still going to be something that's going to happen. I think the stat that was given out that it was only 18% of the casualties, and I can come talk to you about that in a classified setting and kind of go through some of that. But I mean, we're going to need some of that too, because those are not, EW is not an issue for some of those things. Same with mortars and what you're going to need at the tactical edge. They're still using that. So I think it's a combination of things, and we're definitely looking to the future.
And Congressman, I would just quickly say, anything I think we are saying about our procurement process, our bureaucracy, the shining star in all of this and the gem that we have as a nation is our soldiers. So I was down at Fort Jackson a couple of weeks ago, and these are soldiers who've been in the Army for 5 weeks. And what we've started to do is put a drone up while they do their lanes, and then when they do their after-action review, they see themselves and what the drone can do. And this is what's remarkable about it. As these drill sergeants have iterated through these classes, they've actually learned lessons from people in the Army for 5 weeks that have trickled up to the Pentagon and spread to our other units on how we can improve, which is absolutely remarkable.
And I actually love what the Army's doing in their futuristic thinking for training for personnel. I was at University of North Georgia, loved their scientific approach to fitness, but I also simultaneously see we're still doing a huge, massive airborne training of 12,000 soldiers per year on something that we'll probably never use again, which also harms over 100 people per year that we're then going to have to pay disability to for the rest of their lives and really takes them out of the battlefield on something that really is an obsolete tactic, in my opinion. So I hope I don't want to belabor that point because I know we're out of time, and I want to give you some time, so I'm going to yield the rest of my time.